We're in there.
Can you hear us all right, Ms. Ames?
Yes.
All right, excellent. All right, we're recording. Today's date is October 4th, 2021. In Gray County, Texas, I call cause number 40263 in the interest of Orion Edward Eugene Pace. What says the state?
Do what?
Teresa DePoyster for the Office of the Attorney General. Your Honor, the state's ready.
All right. Did I pronounce his name correctly, Ms. Ames?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Ames, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Ms. Ames is appearing by audio and video today. All right, Ms. DePoyster, you may call your first witness and proceed to default.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would ask the court to take judicial notice of the fact that Mr. Pace was served on or about August 19th is what I show.
The court's file reflects that he was served on August 19th, as you indicated. I'll take judicial notice of the contents of the court's file.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would go ahead and call Ivy Lou Ames as a witness.
Ms. Ames, would you raise your right hand, please?
Oh, sorry.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Poyster, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Ivy, you have a son by the name of Orion Edward Eugene Pace. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And he's the child before the court here today. And previously, you and Heath Aaron Pace signed a document that's called an acknowledgement of paternity, stating that you are the parents of Orion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Heath then did sign that document. And has he acknowledged Orion as his child?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay. Does Orion call him daddy?
Yes, he does.
Are they in contact with each other by video?
Yes.
Okay. And has Mr. Pace indicated that he does want to have possession and access of Orion?
Sometimes. I mean, he says he wants to.
Okay. And in fact, did he say at one time that he wanted to take Orion?
Yes.
Okay. And however, and you have been allowing this contact. You have moved away from the Gray County. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we had put in our pleadings that you had maybe had a concern about your information being in the order. But is it true that you no longer have a concern about your address and phone being in the order?
Yes, I don't have no. It's okay. I don't mind.
Okay. And so you're actually living out of state, but you were here at the time that the proceeding was filed. Isn't that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And however, you and Keith agreed that, he would be acknowledged as the father, but he is not the father. Is that correct?
Yes, he is not the father.
And who is the father of Orion?
Sergei Chosnik.
And is he anywhere? Could you tell the court about what's happened with him?
He passed away while he was 3 months.
When Orion was 3 months old. Okay.
Yes.
And so Heath is aware of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he was aware of it when he signed the acknowledgement that he was not the biological father.
Yes.
And your position is that he signed the document, he's acknowledged him as a child, and you're asking the court to go ahead and uphold that document and do an order for you guys as him as the father.
Yes.
And So are you asking the court establish that you're the party who will determine the primary residence of Orion?
Yes. He's with me.
Okay. And are you asking that you be designated as the managing conservator and Mr. Pace as the possessory conservator?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you asking that visitation be as agreed to by you and Mr. Pace?
Yes.
And are you asking then that communication regarding what y'all's agreement is about visitation be reflected through a parenting app?
Yes.
And I've suggested to you App Close, which is a free app. Are you asking the judge to order both of you to download that app and so that you can communicate regarding possession and access of Orion by Mr. Pace in the App Close app?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so why do you not feel comfortable setting some sort of standard possession order at this time?
What's that mean?
In other words, why are you wanting it to be that possession is just whenever you guys agree?
I just feel like he's gonna take him from me.
And he still lives here in Texas, right, Mr. Pace?
Yes. Yes.
And you're in Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how old is Orion?
2.
And are you concerned then if you don't have the ability to have some control over when he has possession and access, that he will keep him? Is that what I'm understanding you to say?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And has Mr. Pace been providing any support or assistance for you for Orion's benefit?
Not for, I think it's 18 months. He did it for 5 months.
Okay, so he did it when Orion was first born,
Yes, ma'am.
and he paid that even though he knew that he was not the father.
Yes.
And so, are you aware of where Mr. Pace works or how much money he makes?
All I know, he works at Denny's.
Do you know what he does there?
I think it's a cook.
And we've talked about the statutory presumption of minimum wage, and we did some calculations based upon that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how is Ryan covered by health insurance?
Medicaid.
And so in our calculations, we did put in a $25 reimbursement to Medicaid for the government health insurance. And then Mr. Pace does not have other children. Is that correct?
No, not yet.
Other minor children. Does he have a child over the age of 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but no other children under the age of 18?
No.
Okay. And so based upon that calculation, the child support would be $223 a month. And are you asking that child support begin November 1st?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Pace filed anything to controvert that acknowledgement of paternity?
No.
Has he signed any document saying that he denies that acknowledgement of paternity?
No. As far as I know, no.
And then, so the retroactive amount of child support for that 18 months that he hasn't provided me assistance would be $4,014. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you asking that he pay that retroactive child support for $75 a month?
Yes.
And for that payment to begin November 1st as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that it's up to the court to determine whether this is an appropriate order and appropriate under the facts and under the law.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else you needed to tell me or the judge?
No, ma'am.
Any other questions of any sort?
No.
Is there any possibility that Mr. Pace could actually be the father?
No.
Were you two together when he signed that acknowledgement at the hospital?
We wasn't dating. No.
I cannot go ahead and make him the father. It's like doing an adoption. It's something he needs to know about. I want to have Mr. Pace appear and tell me why he signed that paperwork and whether he wants DNA testing. Or I'm going to order DNA testing and see if he goes.
Okay.
Ms. DePoyster, do you think there's a chance we can get Mr. Pace to appear?
I could certainly go ahead and try to even call right now, Your Honor, as far as that goes. I suppose the other issue, Your Honor, would be that it's possible that Oklahoma has jurisdiction, now too, and that Ms. Ames could.
Ms. Ames, how long did you live in Gray County before you moved to Oklahoma?
2 or 3 months.
There we go. We don't have jurisdiction here. Was
Sounds like-
Orion born in Gray County?
He was born in Amarillo.
Okay, so he was born in Texas. During the time that you were living in Gray County?
No, I was living in Amarillo when he was born.
Okay. As a matter of fact, under Texas law, the child has to have, or somebody has to have lived in the county for 6 months to establish jurisdiction there. So if you are wanting an order for Mr. Pace to pay child support, what I think might have to happen is
Okay.
that you go to the child support authorities there in Oklahoma
Okay.
and they will send that order to Texas. And it may very well come back to me, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
But we don't have jurisdiction here in Texas, in Gray County, Texas, to actually do it at this time. Are you on any kind of assistance there, or is Orion on any kind of assistance there in Texas?
He's on WIC.
Okay, but not Medicaid or TANF or anything like that?
No, he's just on Medicaid. That's it.
Okay. Okay. When you went to apply for Medicaid, that's the office where they will take applications for child support.
Okay.
So go back and talk to your caseworker there and tell them, now it's got a strange name. It's called UIFSA, but you don't have to remember the name. Tell them that you are wanting to start child support and you want the case to be sent to Texas for Mr. Pace.
Okay.
When it comes into Texas, there's a possibility of ordering him to pay child support, but it cannot address visitation.
Okay.
So that might be something you would be interested in as well. But that's the office you need to talk to, and they would have you fill out paperwork and see if they can get a child support order against Mr. Pace. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you for appearing today and for explaining everything so truthfully. It's kind of a complicated situation.
Yeah.
But we'll see what we can do. But it will have to come from the state of Oklahoma right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So much, Ms. Ames.
All right. Bye.
All right. Good luck to you and Orion.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
He has no right to it. No right.
Can I call you back in a few minutes? My daughter's calling.
No
All
right.
right, love you.
Ivy, you're still on the Zoom meeting.
Hang
You wanna-
on.
Okay.
Okay, let me,
I'm trying to hang it up.
I can probably do that. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Well, touch. Are we
that
still
was
live? Are we
An
still live?
unusual one.
Yes.